Get my six. Say hello to our new flock. Hey guys, so welcome back to the most awesomest homesteading channel on the planet that typically has nothing whatsoever to do with homesteading off the grid. Today, however, it does. As you can tell, I'm in an old overgrown garden spot. This used to be, there's an old broken down rabbit pen that I'm going to be taking apart, taking the wire off of and nails out of and disposing of properly. But here's what's going on. I hope you like our new chicks. We've been wrestling with whether or not to try to restart a backyard flock of egg-laying birds. We most recently had quails, but the strange fog came through a couple of months ago and preceding a big snowstorm, and it appeared as if something was in that fog that unalived 7 of our 8 quails. The other one we did set free into this meadow up here before taking a trip for a couple of weeks down to Key West. But 2 nights ago, because I've been following the saga of what's going on with egg prices in the United States, I'm reading that they are costing $12, $13, $18 a dozen in some parts of the country. I know locally, and we live in Central Virginia, not in Charlottesville, but not too far away from Charlottesville. My beautiful bride dearly, aka Giggly Girl, went to Costco one day last week. I don't go in that place. I can't stand it, but she likes to go in there for the deals, and if people try to talk to her, she just acts like she can't speak English. So that's how she ignores a lot of the uppies in there. But even there, they were out of eggs. So she had to go to a local grocery store to get the eggs. She always liked buying them at Costco because, I mean, you can get 50 million eggs for the cost of a couple dozen, just like everything else at Costco. Get a dump truckload of toilet paper for the cost of like a 4-pack at the regular grocery store. But she had to go to the regular grocery store anyway because they just didn't have the eggs at Costco. And at the regular grocery store, there were signs saying you can only get like 2 packs, 2 dozen per visit. So 2 nights ago, I just woke up in the middle of the night because, listen, you've got the egg shortage, the egg prices, then you've got the caca hachoo going around. I think under the Biden administration, they had to unalive 150 million egg-laying hens. They've been doing this thing in the labs where they're trying to get this virus to be able to jump from one species, typically birds, of course, to other species, and they've now found it in cows. 2023, there were 1,800 unalived baby seals on the beaches of Argentina. From where this specific strain has crossed from birds to mammals. So, and then on top of this, we're hearing about how there are some government agencies requiring folks to register their backyard flocks. So if you go out and you get 3 hens because you want to have fresh eggs, you're being required to have your name, address, phone number, all of your personal information kept on record at the county office. Hearing all this stuff. So many of us are asking, what's going on? How's this going to end? Well, recently I've heard that we are actually going to import eggs here into the United States from the country of Turkey, as well as some other foods from other countries. And listen, folks, I'm not a genius. I mean, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I've been around the block a few times, and by the block, been around the block, I mean the world. I've spent nearly 10 years living in other countries. The majority of those countries, of course, third world countries. Some of that was with my time in military, Iraq, Kuwait. Most of it was after I got out of the military and was a civilian in the private sector. Mostly, went around Europe, been throughout Asia, spent most of my years over there in the Philippines. Spent last winter over there. But I have seen things that most folks in this country, the United States, greatest nation on earth. That's why this will always be my home base. This will always be my primary home. But let me tell you, folks, there's so much stuff that goes on around the world, in the real world, that people in this country are just completely oblivious about because you don't see it on your headline legacy media outlets, and they don't teach about it in the public schools or in the ivory towers of the universities and public and state colleges in the United States. Anybody who spent any amount of time traveling around the world and lived within other cultures, especially, like, I didn't go to these places and stay on the 5-star resorts. I went and lived among the people in the villages. We have a tendency, we come back, and when people ask us what life's like in those other places, and we tell them stories, it shocks them because it's so unbelievable. And you learn quickly not to tell those stories. But let me tell you, what I have been able to do is take all this information of what I've been taught supposedly is, which is what we're taught here in the U.S., and then having seen what actually is out there in the real world. Let me put it to you this way. Any nation that becomes dependent upon having their food supply insourced to them from another nation will soon become extremely dependent upon that nation or nations. It's a Trojan horse operation. It's not a gift. And let me tell you, from my military experience, and most of you, if you haven't served, you at least will understand this. The best way to defeat an army is by taking out their food supply. Beat them through their belly. When I was in Iraq, I was a machine gunner, and I supplied the main supply line for all of northern Iraq. We'd go from Mosul up to the border with Turkey, where we're supposedly going to be importing all these eggs here soon. We would take 100 empty semi-tractor trailer trucks every night up to the border of Turkey. We would have one of our gun trucks. Every 10th tractor trailer, we'd have a machine gun truck to make sure that nobody attacked the supply line. We were a main target because if you want to beat an army, cut off their supply line. So then we'd sleep all day up there on the border with Turkey. Then the next night, we would escort 100 fully stocked and loaded with supplies and our food back down to Mosul. And now from there, they would go down to Baghdad and be distributed throughout the rest of Iraq. And that's what we did for a year. There were IEDs, sniper traps, all this stuff, because they knew that if they wanted to defeat us, if they wanted to defeat the United States of America, you'd take out their food source. And that brings us to where we are today. So with all this said, is like one big swirly spaghetti bowl thing. 2 nights ago, I woke up in the middle of the night with this big aha, where I said to myself, Kevin, if you want to continue to eat real food, real eggs, affordable eggs, real chicken that's not been poisoned with the mRNA, which it seems they're trying to get into every living creature on this earth, you better go out and get some non-jabbed chicks somewhere and start your own backyard flock again, and make sure that you reproduce these birds so that 2 or 3 years from now, when there's not a non-mRNA jabbed bird or eggs in this country, you're going to have some in your backyard. And so that's immediately what I did. I went out the next day and I sought out chicks that had not been jabbed with anything. They're pure. And so we're keeping them, as you saw, we actually have them in the dining room for right now. We're probably going to move them out to the woodshed. We just got to clear a space out. But here in just 6 or 8 weeks, they're going to be fully feathered. We've done this before. We started with chicks, raised them to maturity, gotten them to where they've been laying eggs. So that's why I'm out here in this overgrown pen. Now, this is a perfect pen I'm going to use this. Listen, I've got a lot of work to do, but I'm going to have plenty of time to do it. But I'm going to make the most impenetrable chicken pen over here. What I'd like to point out about this place is that we originally used this to breed rabbits. And so I have 1 inch by 1 inch wiring that actually goes almost 2 feet underneath the surface. We dug down almost 2 feet and put this stuff in so that the foxes and other sort of digging predators, coyotes, we have a lot of those around here, can't get under. And I'm going to be using the 2x4 stainless steel wiring and fencing to make sure nothing can get in through the tops. As you can hear, we got a lot of hawks. So a lot of predators, but listen, there's new predators on the scene. We've got this fog / smog / whatever's in that garbage. We've got what appears to be, I looked up our new Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, is that her name? A very beautiful woman from Texas. And when she talks, she's even more beautiful because I love that draw. Just saying, brah. Just saying. I tried to figure out if she's going to require, as the head of the U.S. Department of Agriculture, that we all get our backyard chickens vaccinated. And I've seen her ask this question a couple of times on a couple of different shows, and she seems in proper political fashion not to answer the question. She dances around it, and she blames the previous administration for the reason egg prices are so high and how we got into this mess in the first place. And that's just what politicians do. So I guess she's doing her job. She is a politician, but she's not answering the question the way I was hoping it would be answered. So I'm taking matters into my own hand, and I would my own hands, both of them. I would highly recommend everybody else do the same. In the past, we've always had an issue with our flocks. We have had to fight the predators. Some predators stranger than others. That's all I'll say. If you've watched this channel for a while, you know what I'm talking about. But the biggest threat as far as any predator goes, in my opinion, has always been and will always be tyranny. Tyranny from government. And I'm telling you, if the government decides to get 100% involved with our backyard chicken flocks and our eggs and our ability to feed our families, we're screwed. And like I said, I've spent time in these other countries. I've seen where that's happened. I've seen where agencies step in. I've seen where warlords step in and take control. The people are screwed. So folks, I hope you got something out of this. Take it to heart. I'll keep you updated on my progress here. A lot of work to do. You take care of yourselves out there. Keep your heads on a swivel. See you for more next time.